Welcome to the Valve Bounce. I'm Steve and I've got Damo on the line. How are you, buddy?
I'm good, mate. How are you?
Very good, thank you. Been a bit busy. We've got a few things to cover today. So we've been to the Penrite launch. We've had the 2-litre sports sedan and APRA, Australian Pulsar Racing Series launch that you and I got rides in. And
yes.
We've also got the Budget Enduro that I actually drove in as well the day after the launch, which we'll cover as well. But we've got some Formula One news and also supercars to bring you all up to date with what's going on.
Yeah, I guess a bit of an all-in-one, and yeah, looking forward to it.
Yeah, definitely. So it might be a bit of a long one, guys, but stick with us because it's worth it. But a bit of housekeeping. First and foremost, thank you. Thank you to every single one of you who actually commented, liked all our posts. It's the response has been unreal. Now, it might not mean much to bigger people, like bigger channels, but for us, it was a huge response, and we really appreciate it. So thank you so much for that.
Yeah, I mean, it's just been amazing. We're loving all the questions and the extra ideas. Everything that's coming through has been amazing on the comments, and yeah, we just love the response. It does mean a lot for us as a smaller channel as we keep building and getting better.
Absolutely. And we also have a collab announcement.
Ooh, yes, drum roll.
So drum roll, please. Someone throw it in. Future Steve. We have Phase 3 Motorsports joining us now, and they are a South Australian XL racing team.
Yes.
And I've already been accused of being a traitor because I'm the photographer for APRA.
The Pulsar boys were not happy, and you know, they've always got a place in our heart. I mean, we had ride days with them, so that was that's always going to be something special. But yeah, you did get called out pretty quickly on that one.
Yeah, certainly did. But yeah, thank you very much to Phase 3 Motorsport for joining us. We will endeavour to actually have a podcast with their driver and speak to the rest of the team as well as we go in. And I think they're due to start, so we better get onto that relatively soon.
Nice.
All right, so moving ahead to what we've been up to. So we had the Penrite Racing launch, Damien.
We did.
We both attended.
Massive day.
Huge day. Hot day.
Yeah. It was very hot, yeah. Just only one of, I think, 3 days that we've had in Melbourne this summer so far. But compared to last year, massive turnout. It was really well run event. Heaps of cars on display. There was music. Obviously the livery launch, sales for merchandise and stuff. It was really good. I really loved it.
It definitely was, and compared to last year, it's times 10. I reckon it was just absolutely full of everybody. So it was great to see it all, and the cars, while still relatively similar to what they started with last year, I actually thought they looked pretty good. So
yeah, they're not too bad. I think they rolled out just enough change to kind of you can identify a 2024 car versus a 2023. But I guess a bit like Richie, who rolled out really late too. We know what he's like in terms of being amongst crowds and things, but they rolled him out and he was really good. I saw him taking photos. Matt Payne was hanging around and Tander was hanging around, so it was an awesome day. Yeah,
well, in an exclusive, I told Tander that he has to win Bathurst, and he agreed. So, that's straightforward, nice and easy. Get it done, mate.
Well, I know you'll claim it if they do win, that's for sure.
You know me, I'll claim anything. Moving on to the Australian Pulsar Racing Association in Victoria and 2-litre sports sedans. You and I attended that as well. We made some videos.
We did. You put up some video already, and there's some floating around that it was great to be able to just to see some of the cars up close, get a ride out there, see the turnout. I mean, it was a Tampered Motorsport Day, and they always put on a really good event with loads of different cars running, not just the Pulsars and the 2 litres. So yeah, it was a great day overall. Loved it.
Yeah, no, it was really good, and thank you to Lee Nuttall of All Stars Racing, All Stairs Racing, All Stars,
All Stairs
Racing, and Virgil Autosport, Declan Kirkham for taking us for hot laps. It was really good to see different styles in similar cars and get a real appreciation with how late some of these guys break.
Yeah, I mean, I think that was a big surprise to me. Just the ability of the braking. I used to think it was good in the old saloon car I had, but yeah, the Pulsars, just that little bit less weight, they can really go deep. It was good.
Yeah, no, really, really cool. And shout out to Declan for hitting every single curb he could while I was in the car. My back is still recovering. Cheers, bud.
Yeah, he was doing his showmanship for sure. He was loving those bumps. It was great to see.
Yeah, definitely. And the last thing is I've had a race, mate.
You did.
I did.
You did. Well, it was almost over before it started. What happened there, mate?
So the day before, so at the launch, we're actually running the car for Megan, who's Declan's mum, who was also racing with us on the Sunday, and she was getting familiar with the car. And her last session, which was pretty much the session end of the day, we noticed that there was coolant coming out, and unfortunately for us, it was right at the back of the motor. So there's a hose right at the back, and it's underneath the manifold, and there's all sorts of things in the way. The boys tried to attend to it that evening, but they actually got kicked out of Sandown by 6 o'clock, so they couldn't get to it. So they were there bright and early on the Sunday, and we had the manifold off, the clutch cable and all that was off, the throttle body was off, the whole thing was apart, and it took. We unfortunately had to start with Declan's race car, which is illegal to really do, but we thought it was better to start than not start, and we'll take the penalty. It took 2 sessions, 2 1-hour sessions for us to get the blue Pulsar up and running. And once it did, it ran faultlessly for the remaining 4 sessions. So it was great. We got a 6-lap penalty as a result of starting with the race car, which we didn't really recover from. We ended up 6.8 laps down, I think. But we finished 4th. So we finished.
Nice. So hooray. Well done.
And we were half a lap off the podium. So at the end of the day, I think we did all right.
Yeah, I think from what I heard about the whole event, it was really good, and you guys did an amazing job to be able to come back from so far down. Obviously, having to run a car just to stay in the event was a tough start, but yeah, you guys did a really good job, and I think that little blue nugget of a Pulsar just kept going despite obviously launching itself at the end of the day prior. So yeah, it was a good job by all.
I must admit, and thanks again to Virgil Autosport and Declan and Megan, Dave and Jeff, the whole team really. It was a mega day for me, because I don't get to do this all that often, and it's always in somebody else's car. So huge shout out to you guys. As for my stint, I was pretty happy. I sat in the 137s and 138s the entire stint. So for consistency, I'll take it. I sort of paced slightly slower than Declan, although I think if you actually go through the times in the same car, because I was so consistent, I was maybe a little bit quicker over the whole stint.
Oh, he's doing the numbers to make it sound much better.
You won't. Declan will watch this and he'll come at me in the comments. He loves it.
Well, why don't you tell me a little bit, because you haven't raced or driven around Sandown before, had you?
No, so I've driven, the fast track V8 thing. I've done that, and that was 4 laps. So that's my extent of experience on Sandown.
Gotcha.
And there was no practice. I didn't run on the Saturday or anything, so it was literally straight into the race. I think I was fourth in the car. And I hadn't driven the car either. Didn't know the car. First car I've driven on track without ABS as well, which was also a thing to get adjusted to. I did have one lock up down into Dandenong. I'll admit that, and I modulated that very hard to make the corner, but I made the corner. and that's key.
Good. Yeah. Well, I took away because you can get pretty beach dads down there, I can tell you.
Yeah, I know. And I thought I got away with it, but the next marshalling point, Linda, who runs with Tampa Motorsport and is in the 2-litre sports sedan category, said to me, no, I saw it.
And she won't let you forget it, that's for sure.
No, definitely not. So, but shout out to all the guys and girls who, because that wasn't just one day. There were people there throughout the weekend. It was the long weekend. It was the Friday, the Saturday and Sunday. So Tampa Motorsport and I've forgotten this race. I've forgotten their name. I'm so sorry. I'll put it up somewhere here.
Somewhere down here.
Yeah, who actually run the Budget Enduro.
Yep.
Well done.
Yeah, well done.
Because they were 3 really hot days and it was the same people on pretty much for all 3. So thanks again for everyone showing up and marshalling and volunteering their time, because without that we don't get to run. Yeah,
and it's always important that the marshals, the people who are actually organising the whole event and running it on the days, they're the ones that are faultlessly just pushing hard, and over 3 days that's a huge task. So yeah, well done.
Yeah, exactly right. All right, so what do we got, Damo? Are we heading into Supercar land?
Well, let's tackle that, because it feels like, I mean, there's still been a lot happening, but it just feels like it's been so quiet. The Brody stuff exploded, and it's still going because people won't address stuff. They won't actually come to the table and make a proper statement.
That's not entirely true. Peter Addison's been very vocal.
Yeah, well, and he's only, what do you call, in the corporate land, that's a dotted line. So he's dotted line connected to Brody, not involved in any way, shape or form, but he's giving us the proper, well, what we feel like is the correct information, a more wholesome, rounded thing. And, took a leaf out of my book where just sort of approached it in the right way to be able to say, this is what we should be doing, and had suggestions for what supercars could possibly do. And I know Jeff Gretsch also was talking about solutions that supercars will never do, unfortunately. But, it's still just this thing that's, not happening. And as we get further on, it effectively does look like the original story was 100% true. Brody's not going to be on the grid this year.
No, it really does look like that's going to be the case. It doesn't look like Erebus want to release him at all, which is it's really sad. I mean, it's sad for the sport overall, because
100%.
It's a champion. I mean, we need him on the actual grid, and I feel like it's a bit disastrous. He didn't even so Brody has actually spoken, because he had his award ceremony, which he won the Peter Brock award. Congratulations, Brody, because well deserved, mate. So
well deserved.
Give you a clap for that. But in his speech, he didn't even reference Erebus. He said that team, or my previous team. So pretty scathing, I think, and it's horrible to see this sort of just crumble. I mean, obviously it's happened over a while, but it's horrible to see it just crumble.
It is disastrous for the sport, I think, more broadly. Just to think about the number one car can't be run. Brody's not going to have a chance to defend his title. There's just so many things that are snowball that it's really hit through the whole community. I know we've obviously benefited from some of this news because people want to know what's going on and want to hear people's thoughts. So it's certainly, there's stuff in the ether that's good for the sport because people are talking about it, and they get off like the 4th or 5th page of the newspaper and they're on the front pages of the sports sections. But in reality, everybody's really feeling that it's just a bit of a joke, and that supercars, more and more people are making comments on social media that it's just a joke and people are tuning out. I think once the season starts, most of that will get washed away and people will start tuning back in. But yeah, for the immediate short term, people are a bit upset about it.
Yeah, they are. And I was at the Winton Test Day, was it last week now? I can't remember.
Yeah, good segue. We need to talk about that too.
Yeah, so it was interesting seeing the number one on Todd Hazelwood's door. I will say that. Well, glass, not on the door anymore, is it? I'm not saying that Erebus shouldn't do that. I agree they had a tremendous year last year and they should be celebrating it, but it just seemed a little bit, I don't know.
Yeah.
On the nose.
Pretty much encapsulates how they've actually gone about this saga. You know, they're willing to do all that. The social media is they've really tried to focus that everything's a happy, warm, rainbows and cupcakes sort of world. Just totally ignoring what's happening. And, I thought it was very interesting that Peter Adderton, in that interview with Rusty, was sort of talking about Todd's responsibility in that. Was that his podcast, or was that that was the Speed Cafe one? But yeah, it was like, Todd should have stood up and said, well, I can't run number one. That's not, I didn't win, and so it's not fair. I shouldn't be doing it. And I hadn't really even given that any thought at all, because I was so focused on the fact that, well, should Erebus be running it? Are they allowed to? Which clearly the rules say they can't. But, it's a test day. I can understand why they want to get it out there.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, at the end of the day, it's a test day, so it doesn't matter. But when it comes to actually running at Bathurst, it'll be a different story. So I guess moving on to a bit of livery launch then, because we've had a few cars come out since we last spoke, and probably namely Thomas Randall turning up with the Coke sponsorship. Was interesting.
Wasn't that a last-minute addition? So last-minute that didn't even make the overalls, if you noticed.
No, it didn't.
Saw that someone picked that up, and I was like, what? Oh, my God, they didn't. So that's how last-minute it was. Yep. Yeah, I've seen the memes where, people have got, like, the Italian flag and his car. But I think other than probably what you mentioned, where we would love to see an all Coke Mustang. I mean, how good would that be as a throwback to the Trans Am Mustang? But
100%.
I think it's a good looking car, and the launch video, if you like, that they comprised was just epic. I think one thing Tickford have done really well is that longer form kind of content where, the AU racing that they had, the post-season drinking hangover thingo, and then now this. I think they were spot on. I think it's exactly what the category needs, and kudos to Tickford for having an awesome launch.
Just on that, just on social media, just to commend Tickford, but also Brad Jones Racing. I think those two teams really should be congratulated and applauded for just bringing us content. Okay, Brad's bringing us all the stuff of all the changes, what's going on, what it looks like, and everything else.
Spot on.
And then we've got Tickford giving us the light-hearted side of things, which I just think is awesome. Like, it's just what the category needs, and we also need the drivers to be able to talk their mind. But this is a good start.
Yeah, I think you're right. We've congratulated Brad on those little technical things, and they're only 2 to 5 minute videos of just quickly, this is the changes, this is how it looks, this is why. Yeah. Providing a hell more insight, as we said at the time, than Supercars is doing, and so having the teams kind of take that on is perfect. Yeah,
definitely. Really enjoyed that. So thank you to those two teams. So, keeping on the liveries, Damo, we've had DJR, Matt Stone Racing, and Premier all reveal their new ones.
We did. Very slight change on DJR. Let's get that one out of the way real quick. Pretty much as we expected, a bit of copy and paste and, change it up so it doesn't look like you're copying last year's. But pretty straightforward. Nothing really too flash, or I think it looks good. It's not offensive. It's not great because it's not too different. But that's pretty much where I sit on DJR.
Look, I actually really liked the change. The more red, the better for me. I actually would like them to go to a full red livery, maybe a little bit like the Ferrari with a bit of the yellow and everything through it. But
you do like that?
I do like that. That will come back to that later on. But but yeah, I'd love to see DJR do something similar to that, even if it's just a one-off for like Bathurst or something. That'd be cool to see. But I do like the changes. I think, as you said, they are minimal. But hey, they changed it.
True.
So
True.
I can't complain, I guess.
Can't complain. Yeah. Well, I mean, they tweaked it just enough, but
just enough.
So, what are your thoughts on Premiere? Because I thought the actual launch photos, the livery launch photos, were pretty average from a. I'm not a photographer, but from a photographic point of view, that everything was like really far away. They had very few really good close-up ones as part of the launch. It was just not like the normal, get in and close and have a look at all the elements on the paintwork in the car. I thought it was interesting that they did it that way.
Yeah, I think you're right from actual standpoint of actually seeing the livery clearly. It wasn't great. It was just more all encapsulating the surroundings, which is good too. But they did need a few more closer ups. I have seen more of late that have come out, which you can see what's going on with the car. I really like it. Compared to last year's car, which looked like a clown face. And I know some people liked that, but I could not deal with it. I'm really liking the new. It looks a bit more grown up, a little bit more presentable.
Yeah, I think that the way I would describe it from my point of view is it's a more sophisticated, like it's a bit more grown up, as you say. It's a bit cleaner, and it's a good job. I mean, I love the clown face that you talk about.
It just looks like clowns that are white and it's just far out. It was terrible. But everyone's different. A lot of people liked it. No judgment. It's just my opinion. That's fine.
Yep.
This is fine. We're all fine.
That's why we do it.
That's it, exactly. And then we had Matt Stone Racing, Damo, with Bendix and Tyre Power.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, great to see Tyre Power, sponsoring back in the sport. And Bendix has obviously been around in various guises, pretty small, but good to see them actually step up and for Percat, have that on that car. I think they're a nice pair of liveries. They're not there's a little bit of element of they've kind of just put stickers on in certain places and it sort of didn't gel quite as smoothly as I think it could.
Yeah, fair. I didn't mind it. I don't think it's the best. It kind of reminds me a little bit, and ironically because they've gotten the number 4 back. Back to the original sort of Pertec BA where it was a bit of a bitzer, but I love that car. And that, I love that car for other reasons because Marcus won the championship that year. But I think they look pretty good. They don't look heinous, so that's good. And I love the fact that they've got the number 4 and the number 10, which is obviously Larco's old number on the cars again because that's their heritage, even though they are on a Camaro. Yeah, I do like this back in the sport. So that was a nice little grab from them to make that happen, which was awesome. Yeah, definitely. And I don't know if you watched the launch video, but they did have Russell Ingall's number 9 in the background. And Matt did say that he would have liked to have retrieved the number 9, but there was a few complications around that as well. So yeah. Did a good job on the launch anyway, but so well done to the Matt Stone Racing. Yeah, definitely. All right, so liveries out of the way. I guess we go to what was your favourite livery and what was not so favourite. Well, let's make it really quick because I think you and I both agree, and we do agree a lot. But maybe we can both announce our favourite at the same time. 3, 2, 1. Davey Reynolds. It is by far the best. I mean, it just looks. They've just done such a good job of blending it, making the colours work with the lines of the car. I just don't see how. Nothing else has come close to me. There's good ones. The Monster Cam Waters Monsters car is always really good, simple, clean. Black with the green. I think there's lots of good liveries, but I think that one was the surprise one. It's really well done. Yeah, no, definitely for sure. I really liked it. I liked seeing it on track as well. It just has that. I don't know. It's like, I suppose, when I think back to Glenn Seaton days when he had the Ford Credit release. Yep. When I first saw that on track, I just loved it. And it's the same with this Tradie Beer version. It's just really, really nice to look at. Even if, again, it's a Camaro. Don't say that we don't give the Camaro plugs, you buggers.
Yeah. Do you remember one time we said...
You won something, David, if you won't win anything else.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. And then I guess onto the what's the worst, or in your opinion, and we're going to take Erebus out because we don't know, haven't seen anything from them. So what's the worst one so far for you, Steve? I think I know what you're going to say.
Oh, dude. I'm actually drawing a blank right now, which is really hard because the Erebus at the moment, when I think worst, at the moment, the way they're running around, it is the worst. I know it's likely to change come Bathurst, but just right now, it's the worst.
Yep.
The most uninspiring for me was the Red Bull livery.
Yeah, that's what I thought you were going to go with. I thought that...
I actually preferred it last year with the red.
No. Come on.
I preferred... So hear me out, right? They've actually shrunk some of the signage down a little bit this year, which I think they needed to do because it was a little bit too much.
Yep.
But I feel like if they'd kept the red, it would have looked better. It's just really boring. Like, it's uninspiring and... I don't know. I'm just bored of their useless crap. Bring me back to the Vodafone days where they were spectacular to look at. Regardless of whether it was on the Holden or the Ford, those liveries were spectacular. The moment that Red Bull signed with them, all they've given us is utter garbage. Yeah,
well, I think the dilemma that you've got is not just that it's Red Bull. I think that Red Bull have these constraints of being a certain size and being majority of the car, and then all the other sponsors that they've been able to garnish because they're a successful team have had to work in and around. And for me, I think this year I think it's much cleaner. I like the way they've integrated the Ampol. It's much better than last year on the rear quarter panel.
Yeah.
Like, I just didn't... Yeah, I like it much better this year. And so I think they've done a good job of, changing that sizing and making the car look a little better. But, so for me, I think it's a better car. But are you going to take that? Is that the one that you're going to hang yourself in the comments for?
Yeah, definitely. It is the corporate side of things. I do get it. It's like DJR. I know you're going to come at me and go, DJR the same. Yeah, they are. And I agree, they are boring as well. I just prefer the overall finish of the DJR car than the Red Bull.
Okay.
But if I'm honest, Erebus at the moment are by far the worst. So we'll just see what happens come Bathurst, see if they have a change up and get any sort of sponsorship or if they remain the same. But what about you, mate? What was your worst?
Well, so I will say, without being too soft or on the fence, I think this year as a whole standard, I think the category looks much better. I think last year there was still quite a few liveries that were mix and match and they just didn't quite gel. I had some really good ones and some bad ones. But I would have to say, I'm really tossing up between two. I think, no. Do I just get off the fence?
Just get off the fence, mate. Do it. Do it now.
Premiere. Ooh. I think it was so uninspiring, and then the launch stuff, and I know, as you said, we have seen better visualization of what it is meant to be, but I just find it just sort of feels like my ability or my skill set when doing anything in kind of like a paint environment where you just kind of put things in, kind of blend it. I've got a little bit of skill to blend or to make things happen, but it just feels like a bit of a Canva mix-up where someone's done it for them, and I don't know. I just didn't find it looks that good. Now, it might be better in real life, but they're going to take my worst livery because I expected better from them.
So just to clarify, do you think it's better than last year?
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I didn't care too much for the last year. I thought they just, because they only had, one major, the Nuttall, and so that kind of took up most of the car. So there wasn't much else to be really worried about. I just thought it was uninspiring last year as well. But yeah, I think I don't know, is it better than last year? No, because I expect them to be better this year. That's why.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So maybe it's my expectations.
So what I'm getting from this is that you like clown face. Cool. Got it.
Yeah. Okay. Maybe I do.
Nah, that's all good. All right. Well, I know this is sort of Supercars news, not sort of Supercars news. It's Super 2 news.
Yes.
And I've been following Jet Johnson, namely because it's a Johnson name, obviously, but I followed him when he first started racing like the XLs and stuff. He's actually been announced going into Super 2 with AM Motorsport or IM Motorsport. I'm not sure if it's that way or just AIM.
ATM machine, yep.
ATM machine, not quite that. And it's also announced that's the team that Eric
Pender
is going to from obviously Walkinshaw to sort of oversee everything, and Eric Pender will be his engineer on that car. And it's an ex-Declan car, I believe. So interesting. Yeah.
Obviously, great news for Jet. I am a little concerned about the pattern with Adam de Boer, who keeps retiring and stepping away for family reasons and then coming back. No complaints that he's back in, doing some engineering work because, ultimately, I think he's got, really good skill level and will add value to that team for sure. But just seems to always step away and then come straight back in. So, best of luck to Jet though. I'm sure he'll make the most of it. He seems to be doing the right things in terms of his career progression and focusing on the right things and not getting caught up in the whole Johnson name. So, good luck to him.
Yeah, definitely. I just wanted to touch on really, really quickly because I listened to what they called the Shakedown, which was Steve Johnson and Matt McKeldin.
Yep.
They sat down and discussed the Winton test that Jet did.
Yep.
And one David Reynolds couldn't catch him in the Super 2 car. So he must be doing all right. But there was also the other thing where I believe he said, the car feels really quite good. So I think it's the best car he's had to drive. So maybe last year wasn't really a representation of Jet's overall speed, more of how the car was developed. So, looking forward to seeing what Jet can do this year in Super 2. Hopefully he doesn't, bow out like an Aaron Seaton or who was the other one that also bowed out recently? I can't think of the name. But, sort of high-profile guys that you hope to see them on the grid again just because, they're the times that we grew up in. But good luck, Jet. We hope you go well, and thanks for liking the share that I did earlier too, because that was awesome.
I know it's always a buzz. You get a little like from someone like that. You're like, oh my god, like the office. It's happening. Oh my god.
It's like Tom Hazelwood also. Just name dropping.
He was another one. So we love
legend. Even if you didn't take up my invite to follow us.
Please, sir.
Please.
Awesome.
Very good. Well, I think that probably wraps up the Supercars stuff, mate. So let's go on to Formula One now. And been a big old livery car reveal, mate.
Yeah, I mean, just quickly, firstly, it was someone else pointed out, but the launch of all the cars and liveries was in exact reverse order of the championship finishing results from last year. So starting obviously with Haas all the way up. I thought that was really interesting, just that whether that was planned or just happened to fall that way. But it was just, I thought it was when it was spotted and pointed out, I was like, oh my god, I wonder how much that was planned or it was just absolute fluke or luck of the draw. But anyway,
coincidence or not?
Yes.
That's interesting. I'll be looking out for that next year, I reckon. Just
to see if that's the way it goes. But some really exciting liveries that have been released and the car designs that have been been dropping as well. I think that's probably the biggest thing for me is that we've seen more real cars this year than we did last year.
Well, I think they got smashed last year. Like, a lot of people were complaining that it's just a livery reveal, and then half the time the livery isn't even a thing.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
I don't know.
Yes.
But, it has been an interesting time. We've had some interesting cars turn up. So, where do you want to start, mate? Because do we start at the back and go forward? What?
Yeah, let's start at the back and sort of go forward from there. So let's look at Haas.
Yep. Nah.
Shall we go to the next one?
Yeah. Look, I'll touch on Haas really quickly. No.
Yeah.
Just no.
Yeah. Just no.
Doesn't look any good.
I mean, it doesn't look like a great car. The changes they seem to have made, I'm not even sure they're going to be significant enough to take it off the bottom.
No.
All sorts of other issues, etc. So yeah,
event, scrap them. Bring on Andretti. Done.
Yeah, we will have the pitchforks. We will get Andretti onto the F1 grid at some point. We have to get rid of Gene Haas.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. Then I think the next one that was launched was Kick Sauber. Kick Steak Sauber F1. I don't know whatever it is. But I will say, I loved it.
Yeah.
So bright. I love the green. Really was both the launch itself and the colours and how they've presented the car and what they look to have done to the car. Hopefully it's going to be a big step for them, but I love the green. I thought it was really awesome.
Yeah, obviously this is a in-betweener before they become Audi, but I'm with you. Seeing such a bright car, I know, yes, it's predominantly black, but the way they've actually presented the green on the car is really good. Yeah, the car looks a little different, so we'll see how that sort of comes on Wednesday when they start testing in Bahrain. I agree with you 100%. It looks good, and it's good to see something a little bit more flamboyant. Is that the word? Striking.
Yeah, flamboyant. I reckon that's probably the right thing. Yeah. And so next to launch was Williams. Look, nice. I think it was a nice looking car. I think the way they've done the sponsorship this year is better than last year. But overall, not too different from last year.
No, look, it is kind of like the Red Bull DJR type thing where it's evolution rather than a revolution type situation. I do think it looks tidier, definitely. The English press were really happy with it. They seem to love it, which is always going to be the way. But look, I think it'll look nice on track, but I don't think you'll be able to, like, if you put them, I don't know, maybe side by side, you can see the differences. But I don't think too many people are going to be able to pick it otherwise.
Yes, yeah, I think it's a nice blue. It's not going to win any prizes from us, but certainly was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so next to launch was the Alpine.
Yep.
Now, I'll save some of this for later, but let's just say massive thumbs down. What a piece of shit! It's just like it kind of looked like I was building a model back in the day, and you start putting the stickers on, and then maybe you just get bored and never go back to finishing it. That's kind of what it felt like to me.
Wow, that is a brutal assessment. Look, not the best from the French, that's for sure. So I was never a real fan. Since they've rebranded to Alpine, I haven't been an overall fan. I know a few people do like the blue and so forth, but it's never really been something that I've been like, oh, it's amazing, type situation. But this really is like, we can't get to wait, strip it right back to carbon, and we'll throw a couple of stickers on it, and that's done.
Yeah. I think it was, it was an absolute shocker. But then, I guess going from an absolute shocker to what I think from a nostalgic point of view, one of the best that we've seen is the V-Carb. So the Visa Cash App Red Raging Bulls or Red
Racing
Bulls or
Bulls.
whatever you would. My God, so many names that popped out about that. But yeah, so the V-Carb launched and it had absolute great throwbacks to the Toro Rosso days.
Yep.
Yeah, loved it.
Yeah, no, really, really good looking livery, that one. Reminds me of the 90s a little bit, and a little bit Williams-esque back in, and then obviously we had the Toro Rosso days with that particular bluey, purpley colour, which just, it just works. I don't know, it just works. The car looks good.
Yeah, it looks really good. So, I think they've done a great job this year. Totally unexpected too, obviously with the name change, but just that to go back to those sort of colour schemes and closer tyres to the Red Bull, it was all happening.
Yeah, and look, just before you move on to the next one, just to address the name. So it is Visa Cash App RB. So the RB actually stands for Red Bull, but they have... what's the word?
The rules,
they have registered Racing Bulls as a name.
Yes.
So it's a little bit confusing, I am aware, but yeah, that's literally what it is. But I think what will happen is people will just refer to it as RB or V-Carb like we have.
Yeah, I'm interested to see how like the likes of your Skies and those sort of how they're going to refer to it, because I have the feeling that Crofty is just going to keep saying Toro Rosso for a little while.
Oh, yeah.
Even if he's just saying it to do the throwback of how much it looks like it, but I reckon he's going to use that link a few times. Worth having a shot game if you're game for it.
Luke, definitely. I will be drunk, but it'll be interesting.
And next up, this one is a copy and paste, but I mean, when you're on to a winning formula, it looks good anyway. But the Aston Martin was launched next.
Yep.
And I mean, you still can't beat that green, can you?
No, look, it's a good looking car no matter what, because that green is just pleasant to look at. As for the actual car design, it does very much look similar to what they had last year with a few little variations. So it'll be interesting to see if they found the answers they were sort of seeking but didn't get last year from the wind tunnel. But yeah, overall look of livery, even though they don't change it, it's hard to argue why you would.
Well, very true, yeah, and it's also good consistency. I guess the branding for Aston Martin, it just lines up beautifully with the colours. So yeah, pretty good thing.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, now just stay calm, just be a little settled here.
Oh yeah.
The next launch was Ferrari.
God, that's a good looking car.
Yeah, I saw quite a few messages from you, and oh my god, you're all excited. It was just like, I like it. I think it's a really nice. I think the addition of the white and yellow.
Get out.
But last year, just that throwback to that really solid red with that lovely black, the throwback to the 90s car. I still like it. I think the adaptation of having the Ferrari on the rear wing and, the way they've got the sponsors this year, I think looks much better. But yeah, still a beautiful looking car.
Yeah, look, I mean, last year was a beautiful looking car as well. I'm always going to like Ferrari because it's Ferrari. Well, actually, scrap that. 2017, they had a really weird livery with the white and weird spots. That was not great. But this year, I love it. I think it looks really good, really smart.
Yeah.
I kind of actually expected a little bit more of the Le Mans style livery. Like I was thinking they were going to have that yellow sort of stripe come into it somewhere. And they do obviously have the pin line, but yeah, overall I really like it, and I think it's a different shade of red. Don't quote me on that, but it does definitely look like a different shade of red. So
yeah, I think they typically just change up, the shades to differentiate. But I think you're right. I don't think it's quite as deep as the red from last year.
No.
But
so that'll be really, again, I'm looking forward to seeing that on track.
Yeah. Yes, let's hope they've made some significant changes, it looks like, to the way the car flows with the aero. So it'll be, I think there's a few at the top end that we're getting into now where they've made some significant changes. It'll be interesting to see how that actually, how that rolls out for them when the season kicks off. Righto, well, Another one that's maybe a little bit controversial. We'll see. Mercedes.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on the kind of just across the top, having that dash of the silver and still mixing in some of the traditional blacks and things like where I'm confused. That's probably the best way. I look at it, I'm like, I'm not really happy. I'm not really sad. I'm just like, I don't know what they're doing.
I love it. I think it's I think it's one of the better liveries.
Right.
It is very pretty to look at, and obviously now they've cleaned up the design externally from the zero pod era and everything else.
Oh God! That's helped them immensely. Yep.
The car overall is much prettier than what it has been of late. I do like the treatment around the front nose. I mean, you say you're a little bit confused, but you know what it actually reminded me of, and possibly this is, people will come at me, maybe not, I don't know, but the old McLaren days of the Old West liveries.
Oh, yes,
so
I know what you mean.
It feels a little bit like that, so I think maybe a little bit of nostalgia again for me, where I go, I like the Hakkinen days, and obviously the Kimi days, and Montoya was in there as well with those types of liveries. I quite like it. I think it looks good, and I hope it's quick for them, because it'll be nice to see Hamilton fighting at the front in the last year for Mercedes.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's obviously a big thing, isn't it? See how that dynamic will change, with do they favour one driver over the other? They have made significant changes.
They have.
I mean, it could almost be like the best or worst case scenario for Hamilton. They make changes, the car's not as fast as their competitors, and that's a disaster for everybody involved. They make these changes, it's a great result. It could be the best way to send off Hamilton after all those many years together. So it'll be interesting to see how it actually performs, because I really feel like unless they've made significant improvement, they can be up there at least fighting at for podiums at most races. I think it's going to be a tough season, and it's not going to be a great one for them as a company, Mercedes.
Yeah, look, it'll be interesting to see how it unfolds. I mean, they have thrown everything at it. The front wing is extraordinary to look at, the detail and what they've done. So I'm looking forward to seeing how all these cars actually roll out at Bahrain and where they might sit.
Yeah. Well, on the same day, and it sort of feels like it was a bit funny because they'd already released a little bit over here at the start before everyone did, and then officially released the car, and that was McLaren. So, maybe I'll throw to you, because this is another one that I'm just like, maybe I'm just disappointed in this one more so that it just wasn't as good. Yeah,
look, I'm glad they've gotten rid of the blue. Let's state that 100%.
Yep.
I don't think they've nailed the livery. I don't think it's... I love Papaya, but I don't think they've got it in the right spots this year. And look, the car is definitely an evolution of last year, and they had a few things hidden from the cameras that they didn't want anyone to see. So it'll be, again, interesting to see the final version on track on Wednesday, and how that might unfold this year. I hope it's fast. I really do. I want it. I want them to be on it at the start, because if they can, jump another team, it'll be spectacular for everyone involved. But it's going to be a hard task.
Yeah, I think so. They've obviously made some changes, and hopefully it's the right adaptation, because they made such great progress halfway through last year, and it would be pretty disastrous if they stepped backwards off that great results that they were having towards the tail end. So fingers crossed they've done the right thing, and it really does push them and take it up to Red Bull. And I guess that's probably a good time now to throw over to the Red Bull livery, and probably more importantly, because it is Red Bull liveries and not much changes, some of the side pod, some of the aero changes that have happened with Red Bull, because my God, I reckon that's probably the biggest shock that everybody's now talking about, is what does that actually mean? Can they make that smaller side pod work. So what are your thoughts on the livery and then the designs that we've seen that have changed?
I have deep concerns with that car.
Oof, okay.
The livery, obviously, it's the same, like we've discussed across supercars and so forth. The livery's the same. I don't actually have as big a problem on the Formula 1 car as I do with the supercar. I think the Formula 1 car looks pretty good, but I mean, I'd love to see it change, but it's kind of
just not going
iconic now, I guess. But yeah, the actual design, hello Mercedes, hunchback Notre Dame. I don't like it.
Yeah.
It's an ugly car.
Yeah. Yeah, I think especially if you isolate some of that back portion, over the engine cover, like some of that looks really clunky. Yep. I think at certain angles it still looks alright. So I think when you see it live, it's probably going to be better than some of those photos appear. That's my take, I reckon.
Yeah.
But yeah, like some of those, the way the haunches and it goes all the way back, and I don't know. I just think that if they get aero wrong, everybody's going to be hunting them down. It's going to make for a cracking season. So I guess maybe I'm just hoping that that's what's going to happen.
Look, there's an element. I was quite surprised at the difference of the car. When you've had such an advantage for such a long time, kudos to them for actually saying, you know what, we think this is the right way, and they change it completely up. But I do wonder just how well. I mean, is this an ego thing where they go, well, Mercedes did it, and they cocked it. We're going to show that we're better, so we're going to do it and then be victorious with it? I don't know.
Well, I mean, if anybody can do it, Adrian Newey's definitely the guy, right?
100%.
Yeah.
He's the right designer.
And I could only imagine what that's going to do for, I guess, that fiery relationship between Mercedes and Red Bull. If Red Bull make their car faster using some of those design elements that Mercedes thought should work, but then didn't pull it off. So, that's spicy, isn't it?
It is. It's going to be an interesting little start to the year, I think.
Well, there's not much else left for us to cover. So, we've gone through what we've been up to and the busy period that's been happening with the launch of cars on Supercars and F1. I've tried to give our opinions on all of that. We'd love to hear yours. But until we see you in the next video, thanks a lot.
Thanks,
see you later,
guys. Awesome. Bye.